Hello and welcome to a Veterans Day edition of Monday with the Mayor. I'm Bradford Raths, and we are back in Huntingburg with Denny Spinner.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you. So we just concluded the Huntingburg Christmas stroll over the weekend. Pretty nice display.
Well, it was an amazing weekend in Huntingburg this weekend. It started really on Thursday night with the Christmas stroll, but there was activity downtown Thursday through Sunday, starting with all the merchant activities. But we had the Walk for Wishes, which is a fundraiser for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We had the annual Cookie Walk. We had a performance by the Celebration Singers. We had a great presentation about some of the historical significance of the railroad in Huntingburg. So it was just a great weekend. Throw in there, of course, you got to mention the Raider win on Friday night. That so it was a perfect weekend. But downtown on Saturday and Sunday, we had great weather and that cooperated. But it just gave you a sense of what downtown Huntingburg can really be all about. I spent 3 or 4 hours walking down 4th Street on Saturday afternoon, and the faces were faces that weren't familiar. A lot of familiar faces, but a lot of people that were making maybe a visit for the first time or annually. And I wanted to give credit to all our folks downtown, all the people that made it come together. It was just a great display of what community life, quality of life can be like in a small community. And I think a lot of smiles, a lot of good, and of course for our economy, it was great. A lot of people spent money this weekend, which was a great thing. But just the community feeling on 4th Street was just amazing. And I know this kind of leads into our next discussion is when we talk about people were having a downtown revitalization project going on, and you see something like we had this weekend, and the question is raised, well, what do we need to do to revitalize downtown when we got something this great? And our goal in all that, Bradford, is really not to sit still. Look at the great things that we do have downtown, and it is wonderful. But how do we continue to maintain that and look 10 to 15, 20 years down the road and say, how do we maintain this quality of life in our downtown? So there's a lot of things going to be happening in the next few months in regards to that. So.
Yeah, always good to have a draw of people.
Right. And everything is there. I mean, and credit to everyone who has done everything to this point to get us here. The work that has been done by individuals as groups, and to make our downtown the attractive thing it is. And we want to build on that success. Where we are in that process right now, the consulting firm, DCI Consultants, has come in and has a couple of series of meetings, private interviews with some of the stakeholders in downtown, and a steering committee has been put together. They had their first meeting last month. Coming up on the 20th is their next meeting, November 20th on a Wednesday night, and this is really going to be kind of a work session for this committee. There's 15 people on the steering committee. And this will be really a time where a lot of ideas were gathered in the last month, and we're really going to get down to some decisions, some thoughts about where do we want to go. And one of the things that we are approaching, one of the things that we are discussing is infrastructure, and what can we do to assure that those who want to invest in our downtown in the future, that the city can say to them, you can make that investment without any fear of having lack of utilities. We want to have water, we want to have gas, we want to have connections, we want to have everything there that enables those who want to invest in downtown, both as a place to have business, but also to live. And that's one of the residential side of this is something that is really drawing a lot of interest, and the state is looking at us and saying, what can we do to enhance downtown as a living area as well. If you look at the 6-block area that surrounds our downtown, there's a lot of residential component to that. Another factor that we're looking at, and I really didn't, I've lived here all my life, and I really didn't think about it until you draw the map and start thinking about what the faith experience in downtown is. On any given Sunday morning, there could be 600 to 700 people attending worship services in that downtown redevelopment area. You start with St. Mary's Church on one end and go to Salem Church on the other end of 4th Street, and there's 6 or 7 other churches all in that area. So we have a great faith community that impacts our downtown. And we want to see how we can get them involved and have them be part of those decisions that we make. So I'm very excited about where we're going with this. Still a lot of things to do. The initial plan is to, by January, will be where we have a complete public hearing where all the plans are revealed. But if anybody has any comments at any time or wants to offer up ideas for 4th Street downtown, please contact our office. We'd be glad to hear what you have to say.
Amazing what you learn even after you've lived in a place for a while.
That's right. It's just a matter of opening your eyes every once in a while. We kind of take things for granted, and I think that's true everywhere. But when you have outside people come in and say, "Well, have you noticed this?" It kind of does give you a different perspective, and so that's what we want to do. We want to have the perspective of the history, but we also want to see new and fresh ideas come there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Obviously, today was a very special day,
Yes,
being
sir.
Veterans Day, to
Right.
honor our servicemen and women. Kind
Correct.
of lend a little perspective.
Well, Veterans Day has always been a very special day in the United States, and for me personally, I was never did serve our country in the military, and that's one thing that I guess you miss as you look back on it. You say, well, maybe that was a missed opportunity, but the service of people in our community is obvious when you look around our community. I noticed that one of our residents, Lee Broker, was recognized for his years of service, and rightfully so. One of the things that we're very proud of in Huntingburg is our Veterans Monument on the north side, and when you go by there on a regular basis and you recognize what people have done to make all this possible for us, you really have to pause and remember. And as we sit here in my office, my father was a veteran. He served in World War II. He was a 19-year-old kid coming out of high school and wound up in World War II. And there were so many families that were shaped by that experience and every experience of military service after that. I can't imagine where our community would be without the impact, the contribution that veterans have made, not only in times of war and times of service, but when they've come back to our communities and provided the leadership and the guidance that they learned in that military situation. It's just we cannot be too grateful to those men and women who have made that sacrifice and continue to offer service to our community. So I just a way to say thank you to all those who served, all those who are serving now. And every time we have a public meeting, you stand up there and you say we can do this because of what everyone has sacrificed in the past that allows us to exercise this freedom that we have. So hats off to all our veterans, and thank you very much for your service.
I'll echo that sentiment. Thank you to all of our veterans that may be watching us this evening for everything you've done. So, Mayor, thank you once again.
Thank you.
This has been Monday with the Mayor. We'll have more news right after this.